What if I told you that the world's most famous watch brand started with an orphan who had nothing but a dream? They laughed at me, said, wristwatches were ridiculous. But I didn't listen. My name is Hans Wilsdorf, and this is how I built Rolex from nothing into a legacy. I was born in Kulmbach, Germany in 1881. At the age of 12, tragedy struck. When I lost both my parents, leaving me and my siblings orphaned. My uncles took me in, but soon enough I found myself living in a boarding school. Unlike many of my classmates who came from wealthy families with strong financial support, I had no inheritance or privileged connections to rely on. My relatives arranged for me to attend boarding school, but not because of wealth. It was simply something they had to do. Many of my classmates were the children of businessmen, aristocrats, or professionals. They had luxurious homes to return to during school breaks, wore fine clothes, and lived without financial worries. I had none of that. My lack of wealth made me stand out, making it hard to fit in. Some students looked down on me, leaving me feeling isolated and often teased. But instead of letting this break me, I realized early on that my future depended entirely on my own efforts, not family wealth or connections. With that in mind, I focused on my studies and self-improvement, excelling in mathematics and languages. After completing my military service, I moved to London, where I worked for a watch company. While in the watch industry, I realized that wristwatches at that time were still not taken seriously, mostly viewed as unreliable and often seen as women's accessories. But I saw potential. I knew wristwatches were the future, even if they were seen as inferior to pocket watches at the time.
Inferior originated from Latin, meaning lower or below. Over time, it came to describe something that is considered less good, valuable, or powerful when compared to something else. For example, wristwatches were once seen as inferior to pocket watches. Why? Because at that time, pocket watches were viewed as more reliable, precise, and a symbol of status and masculinity. On the other hand, wristwatches were smaller, more delicate, and often thought of as something women wore.
but I saw potential. I knew wristwatches were the future, even if they were seen as inferior to pocket watches at the time. The main problem with pocket watches was their inconvenience. They were bulky, had to be kept in a pocket, and required users to take them out and open them just to check the time. This was especially impractical for people who needed quick access to time, like soldiers, athletes, and professionals. I was determined to change that. I believe that if I could create a wristwatch as precise and reliable as the pocket watches men used, it could change the entire perception of wristwatches. I still remember the dismissive comments I received.
Stick to pocket watches, Hans. No gentleman would be caught dead wearing a tiny watch on his wrist.
Caught dead wearing means someone would never wear something because they think it's embarrassing, unfashionable, or beneath them. It's an exaggerated way of saying, I would rather die than be seen wearing that. This phrase comes from the idea that if someone were found dead wearing something ridiculous, it would still be embarrassing, even after death. Of course, it's not literal. It's just a fun and dramatic way to express strong dislike. So, when people said, no gentleman would be caught dead wearing a tiny watch on his wrist, they meant that real men wouldn't be seen wearing something so unmanly. Personally, I wouldn't be caught dead wearing socks with high heels. What's something you wouldn't be caught dead wearing? Tell me in the comments.
Stick to pocket watches, Hans. No gentleman would be caught dead wearing a tiny watch on his wrist.
A man needs a proper watch, not a toy strapped to his wrist.
A watch flopping around on your wrist? That's ridiculous.
Despite the resistance, I knew I was onto something. I focused on my goal, leaving the doubters behind me. I was determined to create a wristwatch as accurate as a pocket watch. So I worked tirelessly, collaborating with Swiss watchmakers to develop precise and reliable movements. Even after I established my company, people still doubted my vision.
A Rolex wristwatch? That's nothing more than a passing fad. Stick to pocket watches.
Rolex? That's just a gimmick for those who don't understand real craftsmanship.
The word gimmick means something that looks exciting or interesting at first, but it's actually not very useful or important. It describes things that are designed to grab attention, but don't have real value or quality. Imagine a workout machine that promises to change your life. But it's just like any other machine in the gym. That's a gimmick. It seems special, but it's really not. In this case, when people call Rolex a gimmick, they're suggesting that the brand is more about showing off or trying to look impressive, but not necessarily about real craftsmanship. It's like saying, the watch is more of a trick, something designed to attract attention, but not truly an example of high-quality making.
Rolex? That's just a gimmick for those who don't understand real craftsmanship. But I had one powerful advantage: my own conviction. My wristwatch became my best advertisement. I wore it every day, and every time I attended an important meeting or spent time with friends, I made sure to check it, deliberately, demonstratively. At first, people found it unusual. But soon they saw the practicality, the ease, the efficiency. And then they wanted one too. That's how the era of the wristwatch truly began. When World War I broke out, many businesses struggled to survive, but not Rolex. Soldiers, needing a practical and quick way to check time, started wearing wristwatches instead of pocket watches. Rolex became a symbol of trust, proving that what was once dismissed as a novelty had become a necessity. For 10 long years, I had dedicated myself to proving that wristwatches could rival pocket watches in accuracy and reliability. And in 1910, that dedication paid off. Rolex became the first wristwatch to receive an official Swiss chronometer certification. That breakthrough silenced many critics and proved that wristwatches were not just a passing trend, but a vital tool for men everywhere. Of course, some may say I was just lucky that I happened to be in the right place at the right time. But let's not forget where I started. I wasn't a watchmaker. I didn't even have the money to start my own company. All I had was a dream, a vision, a belief that I could make something better, do what no one else had done before. In the end, Rolex wasn't built on luck. It was built on unshakable belief. I didn't follow the path others created. I made my own. They doubted. They laughed. But history remembers those who take risks, not those who only watch from the sidelines.